Spider-Man Homecoming is, after many years, a good Spider-Man movie. After the abomination that was Spider-Man 3 and the lackluster Amazing Spider-Man 2, Homecoming is a refreshing take on the character now that he's back at his home with Marvel Studios. But before that, Spider-Man 3 was set to be the start of a much larger Spider-Verse, while the Amazing Spider-Man 2 was going to introduce the Sinister Six, not dissimilar to what Spider-Man 3 was. But neither of those movies were well received. While Spider-Man Homecoming, the first actual Marvel Spider-Man movie, was greeted with success both critically and financially. But why is it that Homecoming has much more excitement and success than its predecessors? Let's find out in this video where I explain why Spider-Man Homecoming works. To begin with the obvious differences, Spider-Man Homecoming, unlike its previous movies, is made by Marvel Studios themselves. Sony, who owned the character rights for nearly 20 years, did all of the other films. And it's not that I'm trying to throw any shade at Sony. They've done some enjoyable movies. Baby Driver and The Interview are some of theirs that I do like, and I don't doubt their expertise when making films. Even Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which are bad movies, look like a lot of effort was put into making them. But by having Spider-Man be a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it allows for the character to shine much brighter than it could have by itself. The MCU had already been structured and connected most of the main players, and Spider-Man, a favorite of many, including myself, would be wasted to not be part of that universe. And no offense, but Marvel seems to know what they're doing better than Sony, as Sony has just been a recent string of disappointments with the likes of the Emoji Movie and the new Smurfs and Passengers, while Marvel, on the other hand, has had a better track record of movies. Sure, they're not perfect. Thor 2 and Iron Man 2 are no good. But even though they're the lowest of the MCU, by movie standards, they're not terrible. Plus, they've been learning their lesson and actually putting in more effort into choosing the right people to make their movies. Back when they would just get anyone to do their movies, now we have the likes of the Russo brothers doing Infinity War, James Gunn doing The Guardians, and Ryan Coogler who's doing the Black Panther movie. The cast of Homecoming is another big factor. While I do enjoy Andrew Garfield in the Amazing Spider-Man movies, Tom Holland is definitely the more accurate and likable version of the character. There's much less crying or funerals or just sadness, where this version is much more lighthearted and true to the character. I really don't want to start a debate on why Tobey is terrible casting, but let me put it this way. A lot of people like him. I understand, he's the original Spider-Man. But most people like him because of novelty. I respect that he was the first and undoubtedly put in a lot of effort into his role. But he is unlikable and completely unhumorous, who never came across as a young man in the movies. I'm not even bashing him for Spider-Man 3, because that's not his fault. But his portrayal of the character is the least accurate and the most bland out of the three. Also, the original two films may have been good at the time, but they do not hold up as well as you think. But getting back to Tom Holland, he is incredible. He's funny, enjoyable, and actually looks like a teenager. Back in Civil War, I was still undecided if he was the best choice for the role, but Homecoming really just proves to me that he indeed is. I also think it would have been a mistake to have made this an origin story, which obviously they did not do, thankfully. We've all seen the death of Uncle Ben, twice. We've seen him get bitten by a spider, twice. We've seen him discover his powers, twice. Plus, after the first Spider-Man movie, everyone basically knew his backstory, and we honestly did not need to see it again. Rather than be the Amazing Spider-Man, where it just restarts the entire thing, Homecoming just briefly references his origin, which we really do not need to see because we already have seen it. Twice. The spider suit has also some new technological upgrades, which I felt were really cool to see, rather than the same sort of generic web shooting that we've seen over the course of the other 5 movies. We got Karen, his new AI.
Good evening, Peter. Whoa. You have 576 possible web shooter combinations.
That is awesome.
And a lot of different other web shooter modes that we have never seen. But to be clear, I also think that Homecoming would not have been the movie it is if it didn't come off the back of the previous 5. It had the benefit of being able to learn from mistakes and avoid them, as well as being made during a time that superhero movies are in full bloom and maturity. I genuinely respect the other films for what they have done for the superhero industry, especially the first 2, but looking realistically and comparing them today, and not around the time that they were made, Homecoming is definitely the better film than the rest. The first may have been a game changer, the second may have been the best, but today, they have been surpassed. And I think it's worth celebrating, having another good Spider-Man movie in a very long time, rather than just continued debates or arguments on which is the best. Even if this is not your favorite Spider-Man movie, fine, that's fair, but let's just all appreciate the fact that we finally got another good one after so long. Thanks all for watching. That's basically my explanation as to why Homecoming works better than the others. If you guys haven't seen it yet, you can go check out my spoiler-free review of Homecoming by hitting the card on your right. And also subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. I'll definitely be doing more stuff. I hope to have the time to do more stuff like this, so you guys can go check them out. That's about it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Take care.